Incredible twist. Homeless girl calls lost phone contact, discovers millionaire's life-changing hope. Mia huddled against the cold metal of a worn-out dumpster, her makeshift shelter stinging with the mingled sense of city grime and desperation. Her fingers trembled as she rummaged through her small stash of belongings, every item a memory. This was life at 16, a painful string of dark alleys and nighttime whispers. She looked over to her mother, sleeping nearby, the lines on her face etched deeper by worry and fatigue. Mia wanted to make it better. They both held on to the dream of a real home, where echoes of laughter replaced the rumbles of the bustling city surrounding them. That day, as Mia sifted through her meager possessions, her fingers brushed against something surprising, an old cell phone. She squinted at its cracked screen and hesitated. Memories flooded back, but one contact stood out like a beacon. Dad. Her chest tightened. She couldn't remember the last time he had even crossed her mind. Against her better judgment, hope fluttered within her. With shaking hands, she dialed, expecting silence on the other end. But it wasn't T's silence that waited. Hello? His voice was rich and warm, so different from those cold city nights. The man introduced himself as James, a successful businessman with a life so far removed from hers it felt like a dream. Mia's words tumbled out, raw and choked with emotion. She spoke of their struggles, the restraint of poverty, the nights spent outside, drawing strength from the love for her mother. To her shock, he listened. He really listened. Let us meet, James offered, an invitation that seemed fueled by a mix of curiosity and concern. She accepted, heart racing, both thrilled and terrified by the thought of stepping into his world. They arranged to meet in a nearby community center, the building a stark contrast to her real life of streets and shadows. When Mia arrived, her heart ached in her throat. It was bright and buzzing with people, wealthy donors sipping champagne, glamorous dresses swirling like dream catchers. She was out of place, her thrift store clothes feeling like a heavy cloak. But James's smile made her feel lighter. Before they had a chance to explore their connection, the reality set in. Whispers danced around them. Why is he with her? Do you think she's after his money? Every word hit harder than the last. But as James reached for her hand, Mia felt a surge of strength. She wasn't just a homeless girl. She was someone with a story. Now, let me pause here. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The room buzzed, and she took a deep breath, channeling her pain into power. As she spoke, the tension in the room crackled. What started as a community event morphed into something bigger, as Mia's story transformed the atmosphere. Her courage sparked discussions about hidden inequality, making her a beacon of hope amidst the opulence. But with each word, Mia felt both weighty and free. A conflicted emotion wrapped her tightly. Love for her mother, the desire for respect, and the anxiety of a world that seemed so far away from her own. But just when they began to spark a real change, a heart-wrenching turn shattered the moment. Mia's past brushed against her, and her dual existence pressed heavily on both her and James. The question loomed. Could they bridge the chasm between their worlds, or would society's jagged edges tear them apart? Mia felt the weight of stairs pressing down on her. She'd poured her heart out, and for a moment, the excited whispers had transformed into respectful silence. But then the chatter resumed, a sharp reminder of the judgments that lay just beneath the surface. James squeezed her hand, bringing her back to the present. You okay? His eyes, filled with a mix of concern and admiration, flickered with something deeper, a sense of connection she hadn't expected. Yeah, she whispered, but doubt gnawed at her insides. She didn't belong here. A part of her wanted to run back to the safety of her reality, the cold nights and familiar dangers. Yet another part, the part that dared to dream, held her steady. She had shared her story not just for herself, but for all those who felt lost. James cleared his throat, redirecting the attention toward him. Everyone, Mia has an incredible story. It's not just about struggle, It's about resilience. He was powerful. Each word rolled off his tongue like heavy gold, weighty and reflective. The audience leaned in, hungry for the truth. And if we want to make a difference, we can't do it without understanding what others face. Mia watched as expressions changed in the crowd. The whispers faded, replaced by nods of agreement and murmurs of realization. It felt like magic, like they were all lifting the veil on a truth they had been blind to for too long. But the moment was short-lived. In the corner of her eye, she noticed a woman, sharply dressed, her lips curled into a sneer. The woman stood with her friends, throwing glances toward Mia, her disdain unmistakable. This is ridiculous. Why is he wasting time with her? The words slipped into the air, poisonous and sharp. Mia's heart sank. No matter how powerful she felt, those voices validated her fears. She was still just a girl in rags in a world of silk and diamonds. Don't listen to them, James whispered, his grip firm as he sensed her unease. They don't know your struggle. But she couldn't shake it off. What do they care? They don't know what I've been through, she muttered, feeling vulnerable. They think I'm just a charity case. James shook his head. No, Mia. You're more than that. You're a symbol. This matters. That phrase struck her like a spark, igniting a flame of determination. Maybe he was right. Maybe she was more than just her past. As the event went on, Mia found her voice again. She spoke not just of the hardship, but also of the dreams that shimmered beneath the darkness, a future where dignity replaced desperation, where hope thrived against odds. With every word, she transformed, unfurling like a flower blossoming in the sun. Even when the whispers threatened to overwhelm her, she rose above. The applause that followed her speech felt like a wave, washing over her with warmth. People stood, clapping. Their faces reflected a mix of surprise and admiration. Maybe she could be the bridge between two worlds. But as the crowd cheered, the woman from before edged closer, her silhouette menacing. You think you can just waltz in here, Mia? You'll never really fit. In Mia's heart raced. The connection she had begun to forge now hung in the balance. This was the moment when reality crashed back in, reminding her of the harsh truth. With an uneasy breath, she turned to James, seeking his reassurance. But the look on his face was different now, stretched with uncertainty. The crowd began to murmur again, the cheers simmering down. Had she overstepped? As the glimmers of hope fought against her fear, one question remained. Was she strong enough to reshape her destiny? Or would the past and its judgments engulf her once more? Mia felt the air thicken around her. The claps that had felt like a warm embrace turned cold as doubt washed over her in waves. The woman stood there, arms crossed, smirking, and for a moment, all her courage wavered. Those words echoed in her mind. You'll never really fit in. James took a step forward, his protective stance instinctive. Mia, he began, but the words choked in his throat as the woman launched her attack. You don't belong here. This is a place for people who matter. You should know your place, she sneered, her voice dripping with disdain. Mia blinked, feeling the sting of tears. She fought them back. No way would she give this woman the satisfaction. Instead, she focused on the faces of the people who had stood to applaud her. They were still watching, their expressions slowly shifting to concern. Let her speak, someone from the back called out, their voice a beacon amid the darkness. Yeah, you're not so important. Another chimed in, and murmurs of agreement followed, stirring the crowd. Mia's heart raced. Maybe she wasn't he alone. Thank you, she managed to say, lifting her chin. I know I don't look like I belong, but I do here. And the thing is, we all have our own battles. Some are visible, some aren't. But that doesn't mean we're not worthy. The woman's smirk faltered for just a moment, and in that brief pause, Mia felt the tiniest shift in the air. Why can't you all see? This is just a pity show. The woman shot back, glaring defiantly at Mia. No, Mia said, her voice stronger now. This is a story of triumph. I'm here because I've survived. I'm here to remind everyone that dreams don't fade just because life is hard. If anything, they shine brighter in darkness. The crowd held its breath. Before I came here, I thought I was just a kid with nothing. But if I can inspire even one of you to stand up for your dreams, then I'm doing my job. And just like that, something shifted. The crowd erupted not in disdain, but in a sea of supportive cheers. Mia could feel the energy building, pushing back against the negativity. James smiled at her. and his face lit up with pride. That's it, Mia. You've got this. But the woman wasn't he done. You think your little speech is going to change anything? Newsflash, it won't. For a moment, silence fell as all eyes turned to Mia. It felt like a spotlight was shining down on her, each person waiting for her to rise again. Maybe I can't change the world, she replied softly, yet firmly, but I can change my world. I can share my story and hope it inspires someone else. I can show them that hope exists, even against all odds. The applause returned, swelling louder this time. Mia felt a rush of validation. Maybe she was carving out her place after all. As she scanned the crowd, a familiar face caught her eye, an older gentleman, his brow furrowed with interest. Something about him tugged at her gut, and she sensed he was taking it all in, contemplating her words deeply. Then, just as Mia started to relax, she noticed the sharp-dressed woman rolling her eyes, retreating back into her circle with an expression of disdain. But Mia also noticed that the crowd began to ripple with energy, moved by her courage. Suddenly, the man stepped forward, his hands raised. If a girl like you can stand here and speak her truth, then so can I. I have a story to tell too, he said, his voice booming now, shaking off years of holds. Mia stood still, tears welling once more, not from sadness, but from realization of something beautiful. A moment of unity was unfolding. And just as she embraced that surge of hope, her phone buzzed in her pocket, startling her. Could it be? With her heart racing, she pulled it out, heart thumping as she saw an unfamiliar number flash on the screen. Was this a connection? Or just another reminder of the chaos that always followed her? The crowd surged back, almost forgotten as anticipation wrapped around her. Taking a deep breath, she answered, "Hello?" And in that moment, a new chapter was about to unfold. "Mia?" The voice on the other end was smooth, almost melodic. "Is this Mia Thompson?" Her breath caught in her throat. "Yes, who is this?" "It's Ethan Marshall. We met briefly at the community center last year. I've been following your story since I found out about it from a friend. I think what you're doing is inspiring." Mia's heart raced. Ethan Marshall was a well-known philanthropist, and his name alone was enough to send her thoughts spiraling. Thank you. I mean, it's nice to hear that. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. I just wanted to say how moved I was by your speech today. It takes a lot of courage to share your truth. I'd like to talk to you more about it, ideally in person if you're open to that." "Sure, I guess," she stammered, glancing around to see if James was still close by. "What did you have in mind?" "I'd like to meet you for coffee. My treat, of course. Tomorrow at 11? There's a little cafe downtown where we can talk more freely." "Okay, that sounds." The crowd's cheers echoed in her ears, their energy blending with her disbelief. "Tomorrow at 11. I'll see you there." Just as she hung up, the crowd felt different. The cheers still resonated in the air, infectious and bright, yet her mind buzzed with uncertainty. Could she really impress someone like Ethan Marshall? "Hey," James approached, eyes glistening with excitement. "What was that all about?" Mia turned her phone toward him. "That was Ethan Marshall. He wants to meet me." James's jaw dropped. "Dude, that's amazing. He's a big deal. You can't freak out about this, Mia. This is a huge opportunity. But what if I say something stupid? What if I don't know how to hold a conversation with someone like him? Focus on what you know. Your story," he insisted, his gaze steady and encouraging. "You're doing great, and this could be the breakthrough you need." She breathed deeply, letting his confidence wash over her. The noise of the crowd faded as she turned her attention back to the faces before her. Amidst their cheers and applause, she felt a flicker of hope ignite. Still, the nagging doubt lingered at the edge of her thoughts. Moments like these often slipped through her fingers, leaving only lingering echoes of what could have been. But just as she began to spiral, the older gentleman from earlier stepped up, a contemplative look on his face. "I just wanted to let you know," he said, his voice calm, yet full of weight, "that your words really do mean something. There are many who resonate with your story. You're not alone." Mia smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest. "Thank you. That really means a lot." He nodded. "Remember, it's not always about where you begin, but how bravely you choose to move forward. You're doing both." As he walked away, Mia caught a glimpse of herself reflected in a nearby window, eyes alive with determination, a gentle yet fierce spirit lighting her face. There was strength deep within her, even if she couldn't always see it. And then it hit her. She didn't have to navigate this alone. She had people cheering her on. And perhaps this meeting tomorrow wasn't just another chance. It was the moment her journey truly began. With her heart pounding in her chest and a resolution more powerful than ever, she turned back to the crowd, smiling wide. Maybe she was ready. But just as she felt that wave of confidence, something caught her attention. Among the crowd, she saw the woman who had spat venom moments earlier watching from afar, eyes narrowed, plotting her next move. What would happen when Mia finally stepped into her power? And could the past come back to haunt her just when she thought she was on the right path? The next morning felt electric, charged with possibility. Mia could hardly concentrate as she got ready for her meeting with Ethan. She brushed her hair, her mind racing with thoughts of what they might discuss. Would he really be as kind and encouraging as he sounded on the phone? Or would he view her as just another project? As she slipped into her favorite blue sweater, she caught sight of herself in the mirror. The reflection looked back with a hint of hope mixed with trepidation. Today would be different. Today, she told herself, she wouldn't be the scared girl from yesterday. She was ready to step into her own story. Arriving at the cafe felt like walking into an entirely new world. The smell of fresh coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the sounds of clinking cups and gentle chatter. It was cozy, a perfect backdrop for a thoughtful conversation. She spotted Ethan seated at a small table in the corner, his demeanor calm as he pored over some notes. Mia? He looked up, his smile warm and genuine. I'm so glad you made it. Hi, Ethan, she said, her heart racing as she approached the table. Thanks for inviting me. Absolutely. I wanted to hear more about your journey and how you've been able to inspire those around you, he said, gesturing for her to sit. As they spoke, she felt the initial nerves start to fade. Ethan listened intently, his eyes flickering with understanding and admiration. She shared her story, the challenges, the small victories, and how she had turned her pain into purpose. It was as if the words flowed freely from her heart, unbound and authentic. This is powerful, Mia, he said, leaning in. You have a gift for connecting with people. Have you thought about expanding your reach? Maybe creating a program or partnering with organizations that share your vision? She almost choked on her coffee. A program? Like for helping others? Exactly. Your voice could resonate with so many. You're not just telling your story, you're embodying resilience. Imagine the impact you could have. Mia could hardly believe what she was hearing. This could be the opportunity she'd only dreamed about. But a flicker of doubt crept in, tainting the moment. But what if I fail? What if I can't make it work? Failure is just part of the journey. It's how we learn and grow. If you don't take that leap, you'll never know what is possible. His words hung in the air, challenging her to reconsider her fears. He was right. Every experience had led her to this point. Maybe she was ready to leap, but just then, her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced down to see a message flash across the screen. Her heart dropped. It was from the venomous woman she had seen the day before at the event. You'll never make it. You're not worthy of that opportunity. A sinking feeling coiled in her stomach. In that instant, everything shifted. What if that's what people believed? That she didn't belong at that table with Ethan? That she wasn't enough? Mia? Ethan's voice pulled her back. You okay? She forced a smile, but inside, thoughts churned wildly. How could she share her convictions when the shadows of self-doubt loomed so close? Yeah, just a little overwhelmed, she finally admitted. Hey, he said, his tone gentle yet firm. Remember, your past doesn't define your future. You deserve this as much as anyone else. With those words, something inside her began to shift. That nagging voice, the one that whispered she wasn't good enough, started to fade. The door swung open, and in walked the same woman, smug and self-assured, searching the cafe with a predatory gaze. Mia's heart pounded as she caught her eye. The challenge was clear. Evil lurked nearby, and it was time to confront it head-on. Mia suddenly felt a surge of determination. What if this wasn't just about her? What if it was about proving to herself and to others that despite the scars, she was worthy and could rise above? Ethan looked at her, sensing the shift. What are you thinking? She took a deep breath, a plan forming. I think it's time I turned this around. But as the woman drew closer, a question lingered at the back of her mind. Would she be able to stand tall against those who sought to bring her down? Mia's heart thudded in her chest as the woman approached. She recognized her smile, a mix of condescension and satisfaction. The power this woman exuded felt almost tangible, like a dark cloud looming over Mia's newfound confidence. "Hello, Mia," the woman said, her voice dripping with syrupy sweetness. "I didn't expect to find you here." "Hi," Mia replied, her voice steadier than she felt. She stole a glance at Ethan, whose eyebrows had furrowed in concern. She could feel his support radiating toward her, pushing back against the tide of negativity. "Are you still chasing that little dream of yours?" The woman's eyes sparkled with mockery. "A program to help people? How quaint." Mia's cheeks flushed, but this time she didn't dissolve into embarrassment. Instead, something inside her stirred. It was as though every painful moment she had experienced flooded back, reminding her of her strength. "Actually," she said, lifting her chin, "I'm just beginning to realize the impact I can make. It's not quaint. It's necessary." The woman stared at her, momentarily thrown off balance. "Step back, sweetie. You really think anyone would care about what you have to say?" The words bit into Mia, but she stood her ground, refusing to be intimidated. "I believe in my story, and I think others will too. It resonates with real people facing real struggles. I've seen it happen, and I won't let you take that away from me." Ethan's gaze shifted from the woman to Mia, a spark of admiration in his eyes. She could tell he was proud of her just as proud as she was of herself for finding her voice. It felt liberating, powerful, almost like the air around her had shifted. She was no longer just the girl with a dream. She was a woman ready to fight for it. "Just remember," the woman said, her tone now tinged with annoyance, "you're not really cut out for this kind of thing. People like you don't succeed." With a deep breath, Mia stepped closer. "It's not about where you start, it's about where you're going. And I'm only getting started." The woman rolled her eyes and turned away, a defeated look on her face. There was a murmur of surprise in the cafe, as if the patrons were holding their breath for an encore. Mia let out a shaky breath, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. She had faced her fear and come out stronger. "Wow," Ethan said, breaking the tense silence. "I didn't know you had that in you." "Neither did I," Mia admitted, the disbelief dancing in her eyes. "But something just clicked." "Good," Ethan smiled warmly. "This is the spirit you need to embrace. It's time to share your story widely." A thrill of excitement danced within her, but uncertainty wrapped around it like an old, familiar cloak. "And what if I flinch again? What if doubts creep back in?" "Well, that's part of it," Ethan replied. "You're human, and every time you meet your doubts, you'll grow stronger. It's not about never feeling fear. It's about pushing through it." Just then, Mia's phone buzzed again, and her heart raced. The screen showed a new message from an unknown number. "You're wasting your time thinking you can help anyone." It felt familiar, echoing the toxicity of the previous message, but this time she refused to let it dampen her spirit. Instead of curling up in fear, she turned to Ethan, her mind racing with possibilities. Would she find the courage to push against every naysayer? The determination to uplift others like her? "Let us get started," she said, her voice steady. "I'm ready to make a difference." But deep inside, uncertainty flickered like a candle flame. How far could she really go in this fight against doubt? What would it take to transform her hopes into a reality? Would she have the strength to make her voice heard, even when the world seemed so loud? As they left the cafe, Mia knew one thing for sure. She was ready to reclaim her story, no matter the cost. But the shadows of doubt still lurked, waiting for their chance to strike. What battles would she face next on her journey to empowerment? They stepped outside into the cool afternoon air, the distant hum of the city surrounding them like a comforting blanket. Mia took a deep breath, fresh air filling her lungs with a sense of possibility. But doubts still lingered in the corners of her mind, prickling her thoughts like little reminders of her fears. Ethan walked beside her, his presence a soft anchor against the current of her worry. "What's next on your plan? Anyone you want to reach out to today?" he asked, glancing over, his expression both curious and encouraging. "I've been thinking about starting a blog," Mia said, her voice gaining strength with each word. "Share my journey, gather stories from others. Maybe even organize some local meetups, something to create a community." Ethan nodded appreciatively. "That sounds amazing. You have so much to offer, Mia. Your voice matters." The warmth of his encouragement sparkled in her chest, but there was still a flicker of doubt gnawing at her. "But people might not come. What if they don't care? What if I fail? It feels larger than me." Success isn't the absence of fear. It's about stepping forward regardless, Ethan replied, his tone steady. You'll be surprised at how many people resonate with your story. You're not just speaking for yourself. You're speaking for those who feel the same way but can't find their voice yet. As they walked towards a small community center, Mia's phone buzzed again. Hesitantly, she pulled it from her pocket. The unknown number flashed on the screen, and a knot formed in her stomach. Do I answer it? She asked, eyeing Ethan. Why not? It could be an opportunity, Ethan encouraged with a slight nod. Taking a deep breath, Mia swiped to answer. Hello? Mia? Is that you? A woman's voice spoke on the other end. It was soft but urgent, like an uninvited gust of wind snatching her breath away. Yes, who is this? Mia replied, confusion painting her words. I found your number among my late husband's belongings. He mentioned you in some notes. He believed in your project, in your potential, the woman continued. I think you might need some help that he was willing to provide. Mia felt the rush of adrenaline. Help? Did this mean what she thought it could? I don't understand. Help how? I'd rather discuss it in person. Can we meet? The urgency in the woman's voice sent chills down Mia's spine. Just as she was about to respond, doubts flooded back in. Was this a prank? Or perhaps another way for someone to belittle her? But the unexpected kindness in the woman's tone felt genuine. I could meet, Mia said slowly, her heart racing. When? Today, if you're free. I can be at the cafe you were just at in an hour. The call ended abruptly, leaving Mia with her thoughts spiraling. What was that about? Ethan raised an eyebrow, a twinkle of intrigue lighting his expression. I don't know, she exclaimed, excitement and skepticism dancing within her. A woman, she says she found my number linked to her late husband. She wants to meet and talk about my project. What if this is my big break? That could be it. A way in like you've dreamed of. Ethan's eyes shone with encouragement, but beneath the thrill, worry twisted inside her. Could she trust this woman? What would happen if things went awry? Would she be walking into another trap disguised as opportunity? Should I go? She mused aloud, uncertainty clouding her excitement. Absolutely. You deserve to explore every avenue. Just remember, trust your intuition. If it feels wrong, walk away, Ethan said. Lightly squeezing her arm. As they continued toward the community center, Mia's heart raced not just from the prospect of a new opportunity, but from the voices within her that battled between hope and fear. What would happen if she took this leap? Was she ready to embrace something that could change everything? The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting shadows that played tricks on her psyche. What awaited her in that cafe? Would this be the breakthrough she desperately sought, or just another path filled with obstacles? With every step, Mia felt the ground beneath her shifting. She was on the brink of something good or bad. She could only wait and see. Mia's heart drummed a lively beat in her chest as she and Ethan approached the cafe. It was one of those cozy places filled with the aroma of fresh coffee and baked goods. The chatter of patrons created an inviting hum, but each sound fell into the background as her thoughts raced. What if this woman held the key to everything she wanted? Or what if this was just another dead end? Mia, deep breaths, Ethan said, his voice cutting through her spiral. He smiled gently, his eyes reassuring. You got this. Just be yourself. Yeah, right? She replied, a nervous laugh escaping her lips. What if all she wants is a story for her book about lost dreams? Then you tell her about your dreams, Ethan assured her. Nothing wrong with sharing your story. As they entered, the cafe buzzed with life, baristas crafting drinks with flair, while friends laughed over shared pastries. Mia's eyes searched the room, landing on a woman sitting alone at a corner table. She looked older, perhaps in her late 50s, with kind eyes that seemed to hold the weight of many stories. Is that her? Ethan whispered. Yeah, I think so, Mia replied, swallowing her apprehension. They walked over, and the woman looked up as they approached. Mia? I'm Harriet, she said, her voice warm and inviting. Mia felt a wave of relief rush over her. Hi, thanks for meeting me, she stammered, quickly motioning for Ethan to join them. Ethan, nice to meet you, Harriet greeted him with a nod. Nice to meet you too, he said, giving Mia an encouraging glance before sitting down. So, your husband, he believed in my project? Mia started tentatively, and Harriet's expression shifted, showing the burden of loss on her face. Yes, Harriet began slowly. I don't know the full details, but he always spoke about an inspiring woman he met, someone who brought people together and touched lives through her writing. After he passed, I found your contact in his notebook. I wanted to reach out. Mia felt a warmth spreading in her chest, but the fear was still there, a persistent shadow. I'm honored he thought that. She replied honestly. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't. Harriet leaned closer. That's the beauty of it, Mia. None of us really know. It's about the journey and the connections we make along the way. I would like to help you. My husband was a community organizer, and I believe he would have wanted me to carry on his legacy in supporting others like you. A rush of emotions flooded Mia. Could this really be happening? How can you help me? I'd like to offer you a small grant to get your blog started and fund some local meetups. My husband always encouraged emerging voices like yours, Harriet explained, her gaze steady and sincere. Mia blinked, absorbing the words. A grant? This wasn't a rehash of her past failures. It was a lifeline. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Harriet said with a smile. You still need to bring your vision to life. But I truly believe you can do it. You have something special to share. Ethan nodded fervently beside her, a grin spreading wide across his face. This is just the beginning, Mia. But as Harriet continued to speak, Mia's thoughts drifted. What would this change mean for her, the responsibilities, the expectations? Could she really follow through? Doubts whispered insidiously, tugging at her thoughts just when she was about to embrace the possibility. Are you in? Harriet asked, breaking Mia's train of thought. Mia hesitated, her heart caught between feeling elated and overwhelmed. Was she ready to step into a new chapter, to take this chance? I need a moment, she said, swallowing hard. Take your time. Just remember, this is your journey, Harriet assured. Mia felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. She could feel the excitement in the air, but also the daunting nature of the path ahead. What if it changed everything? As conversations around her faded, she realized what lay before her was more than just an opportunity. It was a call to embrace her true self. But would she answer it? Mia took a deep breath, searching deep within, wondering what her answer would be and if she was brave enough to face whatever came next. Mia glanced at Ethan, his encouraging smile radiating warmth, a silent reminder of the support she had right beside her. The cafe buzzed on, but within her, the whirlwind of thoughts raged, creating a tension that felt palpable. She drew in another steadying breath and focused on Harriet, waiting with such patience. Every part of this journey matters, Harriet said, her voice cutting through Mia's chaotic mind. You deserve this chance. Just imagine what you could do with it. Mia was indeed imagining. She saw a vibrant community gathering, people exchanging ideas, sharing vulnerabilities, learning, and growing. Yet, the vision was dimmed by the dreaded whisper of self-doubt. What if I fail? The words slipped out almost unconsciously, heavy with trepidation. Failures are merely stepping stones, Harriet replied. They shape us for the better. It's how we learn. The conviction in Harriet's voice sparked a flicker of bravery in Mia's heart. How do I even start? Mia asked, her pulse quickening as she leaned forward. With practiced ease, Harriet pulled out a notepad. Let us break it down. What is your message? What do you want your blog to convey? Mia felt the words simmering. I want to connect. To let others know they aren't alone in their struggles, to remind people that their dreams matter. As the sentence escaped her lips, each word felt closer to a forgotten truth, stirring something deep inside her. That's powerful, Harriet said, writing swiftly. And very relatable. Too often, we feel isolated in our thoughts, like nobody understands us. Your voice will echo for many who need to hear it. Ethan nodded, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. You could create meetups where people share their stories, growing together. That's real change, Mia. As the idea blossomed, a surge of energy rushed through her veins. Perhaps this wasn't just wild optimism. Maybe it was real. With each question Harriet posed, Mia felt the chains of fear loosen. They discussed potential names for the blog, themes, and the kind of community she wanted to build. It was exhilarating, and the passion ignited within her. This moment felt transformative, like a pivotal scene in a movie where the hero finally starts to believe in themselves. But soon, a nagging voice crept back into her thoughts, darkening the bright atmosphere around her. What if no one cares? What if it's just a flop? Listen to me, Harriet said, her tone firm. You're not producing something for approval, you're sharing your truth. If it resonates with just a handful of people, it matters. And if it helps even one person, it's worth it. Her eyes sparkled with conviction. The sincerity in Harriet's gaze washed over Mia like a soothing balm. Maybe failure wasn't the end she feared, but a new beginning. Slowly, she felt her worry transforming into determination. Okay, Mia breathed out, feeling the weight of her earlier indecision start to transform into a sense of courage. I'll do it, I'll accept your offer. Ethan's face broke into a wide grin. Yes, that's the spirit. Harriet smiled, relief washing over her features. Then let us get to work. This is an exciting beginning. As they animatedly mapped out the next steps, Mia couldn't help but feel a swell of hope rising within. Maybe there was something extraordinary waiting for her on the horizon. But just as the excitement started to settle in, her phone buzzed on the table, startling her. I'll check it, she said, fumbling for the device as she scrolled through the notifications. The message on the screen caught her off guard. It was a text from an unknown number, but the words leapt out and froze her heart for a second. I need to talk. It's urgent. About your father. Mia's eyes widened as she exchanged glances with Ethan and Harriet, each of them sensing the shift in her expression. Honey, what is it? Ethan asked. Realization hit her like a bolt of lightning. This was the moment she had dreaded but perhaps also anticipated. In that instant, the world outside the cafe seemed to pale in comparison to the urgency of this message. A new wave of fear mingled with excitement. What could this mean? Mia? Harriet's voice pulled her back from the brink, and for the first time in a long while, she felt both terrified and exhilarated at once. I need to call this number, she said, her voice trembling. It was a chance to confront her past, and whatever truth it held that as she stood, the enormity of the moment loomed over her, a mix of uncertain choice and raw possibility. Would the call uncover the answers she buried deep inside, or would it lead to more questions? With every step toward the door, she felt like she was inching closer to a pivotal twist that could change everything once again. Would this be the conversation that finally put her childhood demons to rest? And most importantly, would she be ready for whatever truths came to light? Mia stood with her heart racing, the phone buzzing in her hand like a lifeline to her past. She hesitated, glancing back at Ethan and Harriet, who watched her with a blend of encouragement and concern. This was the moment she had both feared and quietly hoped for. The possibility of closure dangled tantalizingly before her. Taking a deep breath, she stepped outside the cafe, the cool air washing over her like a wave. The sun illuminated the busy street, but felt distant as her mind wrestled with questions and memories. She dialed the number with shaky fingers, her pulse quickening. Hello? A voice came through, low and measured. Is this my father? Mia whispered, a mix of uncertainty and hope surging within her. Yes, it is. Who is this? The man replied. Her heart thudded. The distance of years hung heavily between them. It's Mia Thompson. I'm calling because I got a message. The words stumbled out, but they were laced with determination. Mia, he breathed, as if tasting the name for the first time. I've been trying to reach you. I need to explain everything. A surge of emotions pulsed through her. For so long, she had carried the weight of abandonment, the shame of her family's past. But in this moment, something changed. The shadows began to dissipate, replaced by an ember of hope. Why now? Why didn't you reach out sooner? I was lost, Mia. I let my mistakes define me, and I thought you were better off without me, he said, his voice strained. But I see now I was wrong. I wanted to help you more than anything, but I messed up. Again and again. Mia felt an odd mix of anger and empathy boiling inside her. You could be tried, she exclaimed, anger fueling her voice. Do you know what it's like to live on the streets? To fight every single day just to survive? You gave up on us. Silence filled the air, heavy and thick. After a moment, he responded softly, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Mia. I've been rebuilding my life. I want to meet you. I want to make things right. It felt surreal, confronting this man who was once a distant figure, a ghost from her past. Where? She demanded, her chest tight. Can we meet tomorrow at the same community center where you spoke? His voice crackled with uncertainty. Mia could hardly breathe, a mix of terror and anticipation spiraling within her. She clenched her fist. Okay, I'll be there. As she hung up, Realization hit hardest. This was her chance to rewrite her story, to reclaim her narrative. A weight lifted off her shoulders, replaced by clarity. Walking back inside the cafe, Mia caught Ethan's gaze. He looked concerned but hopeful, urging her to share her news. "What happened?" he asked, drawing closer. "I just spoke to my dad," she said, her voice trembling but firm. "He wants to meet to explain everything." Ethan's eyes sparkled with excitement. "That's huge, Mia. This could be the closure you need." "But what if it's not?" she replied, unease creeping back into her heart. "What if it opens old wounds? What if it's just as painful?" "Mia, you're not that scared girl anymore," he reminded her, gentle yet insistent. "You've come so far. You deserve to know the truth for good or ill. You're in control of your story now." She felt a surge of strength, realizing the truth in his words. No matter where this journey led her, she was determined to rise, to face even the darkest corners of her past. The next day arrived. Dressed in her favorite blue sweater, she felt the butterflies churn in her stomach as she approached the community center. The sunlight poured down, illuminating the entrance like a symbol of hope. Mia pushed open the door, entering a space filled with familiar faces and memories. Her father stood at the center, older with lines etched deep from time and choices made. He looked older yet softer, and as their eyes locked, an unexpected wave of recognition washed over her. This was a man she barely knew, a ghost woven into the fabric of her story. "Mia," he said, voice trembling with emotion, a mix of regret and longing. "Dad," she replied, surprised at the strength in her voice. "We need to talk." They settled at a small table, the weight of unsaid words hanging in the air. "I'm sorry for what you endured. I never stopped thinking about you." He started, but paused, as if grappling with everything he had to say. Mia leaned in, determination guiding her next words. "Go on. You said you wanted to make things right." He nodded, his expression shifting from guilt to resolve. "I can't undo the past, but I want to help you now. I've started a foundation to support people like you. I want to do better to be better." Hope mingled with the risk of vulnerability. "So you're saying you want in on the journey I've begun? That I can count on you now?" "Yes," he replied, emotion thick in his voice. "I know I'll never be perfect, but I want to be part of your life. I don't expect forgiveness overnight. Just a chance." Mia felt the walls closing in, but instead of fear, she embraced the spark inside. This wasn't just about reconciling with him. It was about her own growth, her power to choose her future. With a trembling breath, she nodded, her heart opening to the possibility. "Then let us figure this out together," she said, feeling lighter than ever. The shadows of doubt that once loomed over her faded, replaced with the strength of her journey, her truth, her resilience. Together, they could rebuild, bridging the gap and crafting something new out of their shared past. As they talked, the space around them warmed, echoing the hope of reconciliation. Mia realized that in facing her deepest fears, she was on the brink of a life where her voice resonated louder than her doubts, creating a ripple effect that would change lives, including her own. And maybe, just maybe, this was how she could inspire others. She felt the thrill of her purpose reemerge, spreading outwards like sunshine breaking through clouds, promising new beginnings. Now, it was clear, this was just the beginning of a powerful story, a journey woven with love, growth, trust, and unyielding hope. As she walked away from that meeting, Mia held her head high, ready to face whatever came next, armed with the knowledge that change starts within oneself. And for anyone reading her story, it was clear, if she could find her way, so could they. Don't wait another moment. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now if this journey touched your heart, and to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And most importantly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformative journey. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.